All right. Good morning, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hello, all of the techies out there. Welcome back to another episode of Bad North. Um, as you can recall, we lost in the last one, so we will be starting with just the popular trait because that is the only thing we came across organically in the last uh, playthrough. So I will be doing the same hard mode run. I will be allowing level restarts, and it will be the same limit of 5 of them. I don't consider this a challenge run. I'm just limiting the level restarts so that it doesn't get super boring for me and for you guys, because if I'm allowed to just restart indefinitely, then this just becomes a um, pure strategy guide, which that's not exactly what I want. I just want this to be an organic hard mode playthrough, and if I'm actively improving, and you guys can give me tips and tricks in the comments if you know about this game. Um, all right, without any further ado, let's get into it. Remember to please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. All of those things will help me get bigger faster, and hopefully I can bring more content to more people. Each campaign is procedurally generated, so it is actually different every time. And this time, hopefully, we will have a little bit of advantage starting with a popular trait. I would much prefer to be starting with the sure-footed trait, because as we saw in the last episode, when the ships land and you have the sure-footed trait, it does not cause the knockback that I keep mentioning. So I will actually show that knockback off here. Um, that actually wasn't as bad because it's a small ship, but when a ship lands, if you were standing in the same spot as the ship, your characters, your little troops, will actually get stunned. And when they get stunned, they are far easier for enemies to pick off. If they're in the middle of moving when the ship lands, it's not as bad, but it's just far better if you keep them off of the same square. But even there, they were not on the square that the Vikings landed on, and they still got stunned. All right, so that is 23 Vikings down. Countless more to go. Let's hope we can make it farther this time than we did last time. Now this does look like a slightly easier setup because um, there is no 2 island until turn 5 from the looks of it. No, that's turn 6. So there are no 2 island turns until turn 6, which will give me more time to hopefully build up some upgrades. And by turn 6, I should have 2 extra commanders, and one will have the skillful trait. Now, as I pointed out at the end of the last episode, skillful is a very useful trait. It halves the upgrades of any skills that I want to purchase for that commander. So skills would be, I actually can't show off skills until I have a class. So I will show skills off after this second island because I will be upgrading somebody. Not sure who, but somebody. Now, here's the question. I think that with just the popular trait, Oscar should be able to defend this island. Now, that could be my hubris talking, but I think that with good play and good strategy, Oscar will be able to defend this island alone with little difficulty because there is but one path up and one house over on this side that we will have to defend if any troops come to land over here. So as these guys are landing here, which is almost in the middle, they will have to make a choice. So I will have Oscar just waiting in the wings for when they land, and I will just move him over as soon as I see that boat dock. That way Oscar does not get the stun, and I will do the same thing with these guys. I'll have him waiting just over here, and then as soon as they get close, I'll have him move back. He will chase them all down, hopefully take them all out, and hopefully he'll be able to deal with a couple more. Now, this is where it gets tough, having only the one commander with no upgrades yet. I'll have him take these three out. Took them out nice and quickly, that's what I like to see. Then he'll take those three out, and perfect defense with only one commander. It's exactly what we need, especially in the early game, because this will give us an early advantage, seeing as there is a second commander on Gramsay, and there's also a second set of, or a second type of troop that we will see appear on Gramsay. So hopefully this second troop is archers, but it could be the shieldmen again. So I think we will make Fergus here into a infantry, because infantry are always useful, and we will defend Gramsay with Fergus and Eldred. Now, Eldred looks pretty cool, kind of boring. He doesn't have any special traits or anything, but a new commander is always useful. Unless, of course, you let them die. And it looks like we made the correct choice with upgrading Fergus into infantry, because archers are the first troop to show up that are not common swordsmen. And seeing as it is archers, that means infantry are king. Because with those shields, they can defend from any arrows that are shot at them, as long as they aren't defending on multiple fronts. Which means I never want the infantry to be caught with only, or I never want the infantry to be caught fighting swordsmen while defending from arrows. Because if that ends up being the case, they are in far worse straits. Because then the arrows can get past the shields. So we will keep having Eldred use hit and run tactics, and we will keep having Feirdred, we'll keep having Fergus here, defending from everything he can. Now at the end of the last video, I did actually mention that you can flee from islands. So essentially, I would tell my commander, get on one of these ships and escape. Now I don't need to do that because I successfully defended this island, but perhaps I can show it off on Acheroy. But that does give me a huge boost already, because now I have 3 commanders, and I have, well, I'll need to do Acheroy next turn, but even if I were to use all 3 commanders on Acheroy, I would then be already a turn ahead. So if I can do Nosoi and Hovsholmer, sorry guys, I'm not Nordic, so please forgive any mispronunciations. Even if I can take just Nosoi and Hovsholmer in one turn, that will already put me at turn 5. I'll be ready for. So that means that I will be 2 or 3 turns ahead of where the fog is, which means that I have a more leisurely time, and on more difficult islands, I can take more commanders. I don't need to play it super risky. Now, all my commanders are tired, so let's see. We're likely to make that skillful commander into an archer, because as I stated, it means all his skills are half priced. And I mentioned how good the archer skill is, specifically volley. Plunge is very useful, but it's also very situational because it can only be used on islands with a cliff. Pike charge is also very useful. However, I don't want to upgrade pike charge massively. So I think I will make Oscar here into a pike class, and I will use him to help defend. Um, well, we need to defend Akeroy here, so I suppose that will be our next one. Although, I feel as though Oscar is not needed to defend Akeroy. And if I can keep Oscar to defend the island with the skillful commander, Havershad, or however you pronounce that, then I'll have an even bigger lead, which means I can take more time on more difficult islands in the future. I'll be able to take more commanders at a time. Now, had I known this was how this would be laid out, and that there's only one connection to the mainland here, I probably would have brought Oscar instead and positioned him right here, because that would mean that everybody would have to go through the pikes in order to reach him, and that's exactly what pikes are for. They're for holding ground like that. Now, I don't think that this is in any way unsalvageable, but oh, this is the flee mechanic. So you would have, or you would tell Fergus to just get on a boat and he would run, and then you would have your other commander do the same, or you'd sacrifice one for the other. I guess it really depends if you have like a lot of upgrades or particularly like the design of a commander. Maybe you save him. Or if he has like a lot of items or something of that sort. I may use my first restart here. Really depends, but the infantry have recovered, so I will actually tell these guys to go and replenish. And I'll have the infantry run at these 6 first, and then go and attack these guys, and hopefully we can save the house. Perfect. All right. Now, that worked out very well in my favor, and even more so in my favor is that Hovsholmer is only going to be these pikemen and is one house, which or not pikemen, these common infantry, and is only one house, which will make it very easy to defend, especially with the local commander and pikemen of our own. So we will deploy these, and we will have our pikemen stand guard right here in the middle. and we will have Norman, the skillful commander of this island. Oh, and as you can see, flight is disabled for any commanders that are on their home island, and when there are no ships available, flight cannot be used. Just as when you are full for your squad, you can't replenish. Um, we'll have Norman here ready to do hit and run tactics, but all of these troops will have to run up one of these two sides, and the pikemen will be ready for them, along with some reinforcement from Norman's squad. It means that these, as you just saw, should go down very easily unless the numbers get massively overwhelming. But that is why we have Norman's squad in reserve, because otherwise these pikemen should be able to handle the whole thing on their own. In fact, I probably wouldn't even have a second commander on this island if it weren't for the fact that this is his home island. And even with 3 people coming from the other side, the pikemen fought them off valiantly. And here come a few more. We'll have Norman fight off those two, and the pikemen just poke everybody else. Quite a lot of carnage right there on that cliff. And that is 34 infantry that went down to Oscar. Well, 2 went down to Norman, but Oscar has taken 63 infantry with only 11 of his troops perishing, which I believe is probably the best that we have so far. Well, 1 to 2. Norman is at a 2-to-1 ratio for how many troops it takes to take one out. And Eldred here is actually not doing too bad himself with 31 infantry and 1 archer. We have enough for another upgrade, so we will likely be doing that. And then on our next turn, we'll be taking Nolsoy and perhaps Bratton or Kunoi as well. Gainanik is going to be a very interesting one because it's only archers. Kunoi and Bratton will likely be quite irritating because it's infantry and archers. Nosoi should be fairly simple. There's a house up on a cliff and a house not on a cliff. Realistically, since they can't land anywhere on that cliff, you just have to defend around this first house first, or you just have to defend around that first house. And so long as they don't make it there, you'll be completely fine. So I suppose let's go and, well, let's look at upgrades, seeing as both Eldred and Norman don't have any. Now, I did say that I'd make Norman archers, and I am true to my word. And as you can see, whereas this skill would be 7 for anybody else, because of his trait, it is only 4. So I will not be spending that yet, though, because I would prefer to have a second set of infantry for the archer battles coming up. Now, on this island, I believe Oscar, seeing as it is only infantry again, will be able to properly defend this island. So long as I position him in a good spot, I think he will do just fine. Now, I really hope this is true, but I could be very, very wrong. So let's see how this plays out. Oh, I made a mistake by having him move. Okay. This will be our first of the 5 restarts. Given the awkward layout here, I'll still have Oscar try to defend this on his own. If I end up having to use a second restart, I will bring in a infantry commander to assist him. I'd rather keep my archers or my one archer if I can. See, the minute you move, the troops move into attack, so perhaps I was wrong and Oscar will not be the one to defend this island. Now, do I think Fergus can do it alone? Perhaps. If not, my third restart will be used in adding a second commander. And hopefully I will be able to learn from my mistakes and not be incredibly dumb. Because it serves nobody when I waste restarts willy-nilly. Well, I suppose it actually serves us both because it means more videos for you and easy videos for me. I kid, but see if Fergus can truly fight off all of these Vikings on his own. Well, him and his squad. This is the last group of them, so hopefully. Okay. We will be using our third restart, and Fergus did almost have that. One more upgrade and he probably would have. Or an item. Or even if he had had the popular tree. Now, do I think he needs a second? I don't know. I will have Fergus and Oscar take care of this island. And then I will have the Archer and Eldred, Norman, Norman's his name. I will have Norman and Eldred take care of the other island. So I will have Fergus defend this side, and I'll have Fergus defend this side actually, and I'll have Oscar defend this side. Between the two of them, they should easily be able to deal with any threats that approach. The only reason Oscar could not do it alone is because he did not have the pike charge yet. If he did, he would have been able to take out all of these troops with very, very little issue. Because instead of having to move and being attacked instantly as soon as he did, um, he would have just been able to use his pike charge and he would have made it immediately to his new location. Now, if he had been infantry instead, he likely also would have been able to defend this island alone. As it stands, I don't mind using 3 restarts. It does teach me a little bit more about how the computer thinks on hard mode, and it teaches me that spearmen and pikemen in this case are extremely vulnerable. So I do need to be very, very careful where I use them and how I use them. Now, given that these islands are both archers and infantry, I will attempt to defend. I will actually buy Norman his upgrade here because I believe this will serve very useful. And with that upgrade, I will defend Bratton with these two. Now, always try to keep your archers on the high ground if you can. And I suppose I shouldn't do that. I don't want to give you guys motion sickness. Move archers towards wherever ships are coming in, and they will slowly pick off the numbers. 5 individual small ships are approaching with archers. And my infantry is prepared. My archers have already taken one out. I will have my archers move over here, and I will have my infantry deal with these 3. Now, this is why we got the Rain of Arrows skill, although the archers are doing phenomenally well. We will have the infantry move over here. They will defend from those archers as soon as they land, and we will have these archers use Rain of Arrows on this square. Oh, I picked the wrong square, but you can see how that would change the tide of a battle. And there is 6 more coins and another island farther ahead. And as you can see, there are 3 artifacts coming up, so that will be very useful. We could even get the upgraded volley skill already. And I think we will actually do that. We'll even have his max upgrade very shortly. Now, as stated, we are already 2 turns ahead. So we have already done all of those for turn 4. We've done all of the islands for turn 5. We will have all of the islands for turn 6 done in just a moment. And then we will be starting on the islands for turn 7. So as soon as we see what small isle is, what the enemies on Small Isle are, we'll see if Oscar can defend it alone. For this island, we will actually go with the same combination of Norman and Eldred. Now, upgrading these skills is also useful because it does also reduce cooldowns. At least I'm pretty sure it does. Might be wrong on that information, so don't quote me. We will have the archers start shooting. Anytime now. Over here. We'll have you use Rain of Arrows right here. Nope. Mostly missed. Rain of Arrows does take a little bit of time before you are used to exactly how quick it fires and exactly how to use it. Now, this is the only downside to these early level archers. They really can't hit their mark when it's just one. But they are still incredibly useful in a fight. So, you never want to underestimate them. However, you also never want to leave them open to purely melee combat. And we will actually be using our 4th restart of the run. Because if I had played that just a little bit better, we would not have lost as many of Eldred's troops, and Eldred would then have been able to defend at the end. We will move Eldred closer in this situation, because they will be landing here, and these guys will be landing on this square. And they should be able to defend from both sides with a little difficulty, but not much, because there go all three. We will have the archers immediately focus on the infantry troops. There we go. That's how that's how volley is supposed to be used. And as you can see, Eldred is already doing far better here. And we'll even have Eldred move closer to these archers, which means he will be ready to take them out. We'll have him move down in order to successfully take out at least one set of these troops. We'll have Eldred take out the other, and we will start retreating. And there we are. Now, I could have done that without a restart. I just played poorly. And I believe we have time for just one more island. And so we will do small isle with Oscar and Fergus. Now for this, we will have Oscar on this side, or Oscar on this side and Fergus on this side. And we will swap them as needed. So in this case, we will swap Oscar over to this side because I believe that is the side that these troops will be coming up. And we will move Fergus towards any archers we see, because both archers and um, regular infantry will be approaching on this level. So we want to defend Oscar as much as possible from those regular infantry. Or from those archers, not the regular infantry. The regular infantry, Oscar will have absolutely no issue just decimating. And given the small distance that Oscar has to travel, he is far less vulnerable than he would be in most levels, even when defending against large numbers, such as these. This is why you want to always control high ground areas. It is especially good for pikemen, because Vikings can hardly ever get past. Now that is a small amount of coins, however it is a small price to pay. This relic is not exactly my favorite. It's a consumable, so it is not one that is used on a... You cannot equip it to a commander. It is one that allows you to bring back a commander if they perish in a battle. So if I were to, say, fight on Ganinik and then lose a commander, I would then be able to bring him back with the Holy Grail. Now, I think this is as good a spot as any to leave this episode. Hopefully, this second attempt will do much better. We have one restart left, and Ganinik will be the next island we are doing. So I will end this turn, we will watch the fog roll forward, and then I will be signing off. Alright. Far less dramatic with the fog only rolling forward that little bit over Gramsay. But wherever you are, goodbye techies, have a great day, good afternoon, a great night, whatever it is you're doing. Enjoy yourselves, and I will see you all in the next video.